we know how to run, right? Like as children, we know. We've just learned how to do it the wrong way. And so you need to value that innate intelligence and also value the innate intelligence of the world around us. That story as well of that old dude who was just shredding up the trail, running with the power of the plants. Like, can you talk about that a little bit? Because that's cool.
So running with a buddy, we are in the prime of our lives. We're fit. I'm in kung fu and doing it. Some old guy just blows right by us, and we're like, oh man, and just like all ego.
You got type A.
Yeah, type A. It's just like you kind of like grab your sack and you're like, oh hell no you didn't.
Oh no you didn't.
Oh no you didn't. So we're like, catch this guy, right? And go. I mean, I think it was at least 13 miles later where he stopped and waited for us to come up panting and vomiting. And then, who the hell are you? And he basically introduced himself as an alchemist from Eastern Europe and said the secret to running is you gather the nectar or the energy from the plants and the nature around you, and you allow yourself to drink that energy and fall forward. Very similar to what you were talking about. And as you do so, you gain more power and more capacity, and you get out of the way and you move like a hot knife through butter, through reality, and it nourishes you and feeds you. And he tells us this while we're still panting, and then he's out of there. And then we had to find our way home, right? So that story just hits me right in the gut, because it's like, there's some real... And it goes back to what you're talking about with Pachamama and who we are and what our connection with the earth really is, and who we are in relation to this, and how reductionist we've become in who we are. And a lot of this health crisis and all these problems and depression, all these things we're having is, in my opinion, a reflection of that separation.
Yes.
From that connection that we've been talking about.
Totally.
I think it's really inspiring to hear how much more we have to learn. I mean, I read that book. I have it on my shelf. I like to run too, and it definitely has changed my life as well. Like, I mean, instead of looking at running as this thing where, well, I got to keep the pounds off, so I'm going to go running. It's almost the same. It's a spiritual experience. Yeah, exactly. And the same way any kind of a ceremony we'd be engaged in some sort of an indigenous culture is. I mean, the demons come up when you run, and if you're meditating instead of really focusing on just kind of trying to push through your 10 miles for the day, then you finish your run and you've had to process the things that are limiting your progress and limiting your ability to be graceful and to be peaceful while you run. Right. Sometimes when I'm running and I hear and I feel like my breath changes or there's a pain somewhere, then I'll start focusing on it and just trying to heal it as I run. And I'm like, oh, where's that coming from? Yeah. And then you start listening to your body and your body's like, well, and then it might be a defeating thought. It might just be someplace that you need to kind of send a little bit of love down there or whatever. But you're meditating while you run, and you end the run almost with more energy than you began the run, and with lessons, and with blog posts, because I do the same thing. Right? I get back from the run, and I'm like, okay, there's 4 things that I can write about. And you bang out your next 4 in one day. You're like, oh, cool, I got the next 4 days.
And those are your best blog posts. Like the muse is upon you, like it moves through you. Yeah, because that's the genius. And then for us, I think we could all kind of agree that it's not our genius. We're not like, oh, look how cool we are. Right. It's the more you step into the process, the more just this innate wisdom can kind of move through you. Yeah.
It's the divine download as a blog post. Right. But it's also, so I just went through Chi running training, and I want to say for our listeners who are like, really, I have to run 13 miles or a marathon to get this, that you can also do Chi walking. It's a way to really change metabolism in your body on that cell-to-soul spectrum. When I went through this training, the 2 things that kind of pull you in as a consumer with Chi running or Chi walking is the energy management that you're all talking about, and also the injury prevention. But it's, of course, the backstory is so much bigger. The other piece I want to bring in, because you were talking about your mind, and I think so many of us think about meditation as a way to manage our mind. I felt Chi running in more of a heart-based way. So like the falling forward and relaxing your shoulders and looking at the horizon, which is part of Chi running, and the allowing rather than pushing. For me, I just would really connect to breathing into my heart and breathing out from my heart. And we know that it's not your brain that's in charge. This was like a big myth buster moment for me. Yeah. I used to think the brain was in charge. I thought that for most of my life. It's certainly what I learned at Harvard Medical School and UCSF and all these other places I've been. Yeah. But the truth is that your heart tells your brain what to do. Like your heart is really the needle mover. And even just talking about the adrenals and how when you run, you raise cortisol. Cortisol is that stress hormone that causes more injury. And when you realize that it's not your brain talking to your adrenals, it's actually your heart talking to your brain, and then your adrenals listen to that. That's a big deal. Like that's a big simplifier and pattern interrupt.
And your gut.
And your gut too, yes, absolutely.
Everyone knows about a gut feeling, but if you, we're just starting to confirm with science that there's stuff going on down there.
There's some major. That's like the next 10 years of medicine right there. Your gut in particular. There's a lot of very good things happening there.
I hope so. Working on that.
95% of your serotonin is made in your gut. I mean, these numbers are amazing. Serotonin. I had an assistant who called it Dr. Serotonin. Like it's that lovely brain chemical that's in charge of mood, sleep, appetite, lots of things in your brain. And it's not like all these brain chemicals are created equal, right? Like this is the big gatekeeper, and 95% of it is happening in your gut.
Right.
Can I go off the deep end a little?
Hit it.
Please.
Serotonin is also, okay, what separates us from the monkeys is the prefrontal cortex, right?
I thought it was Star Wars.
Higher. I'll go back. I promise this will be a Death Star. It'll go back to Death Star.
Wars.
Okay.
Yeah. So what separates us from the monkeys is the prefrontal cortex and the serotonergic neurons that are really like strong there, right? And this is for higher moral reasoning. It's for the capacity to turn around and say, negation of impulses. Monkey, no. Right? To say no to things and take mastery of life by understanding who you are and really being able to turn your awareness around and find out the eye behind the eye. Serotonergic neurons, right? So if you're not eating right, if you're not developing this serotonergic axis between your gut and your brain, and by the way, we now are seeing some evidence that glyphosate, which is the nasty chemical that's sprayed over GMO crops, blocks the absorption of serotonin, so you don't get that axis. Welcome to the Death Star. Is this?
So does diet soda.
So does diet soda.
Artificial sugars.
Yep, artificial. So all this nasty stuff that we've been subjecting ourselves to is pulling us away from this kind of gut-spirit axis, which gets us to fall out of this natural, innate capacity to just be able to like fall into nature and move with Pachamama and all these things that are kind of our birthright.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so us coming back to all this is just this real kind of splintering. It's, in the Hebrew tradition, Shekinah, the goddess that brought back all the pieces.
Are you rocking some Hebrew now?
I'm rocking Hebrew for you.
I love it.
Right?
Awesome. Yeah. And so it's all of these pieces that we're trying to pull together because we're in a splintered reality and it's a mess. But the good news, you guys, is as soon as you start living healthfully, the sooner you start waking up to this, the sooner you start joining the team. You feel the force moving through you, and it all becomes self-evident because then you're on the ride, and it'll keep showing you the mystery, right? Yeah. And I think we could all kind of attest to that. Is once you're in that game, it keeps emerging and becoming more self-evident, and you keep growing and you keep feeling better and more alive.
Yeah, and I think we live in such a cool time right now. Because it sounds totally woo-woo. And, the Force from Star Wars sounds ridiculous. But it's such an amazing time because now we're seeing science confirm all this stuff.
Yes,
we're like,
totally.
well, serotonin is doing this thing, and it's connected. And what this science is explaining is the same thing that we've been talking about for thousands of years across the world in all sorts of different ways, using different languages and terminology. But we're starting to confirm that this exists, this is important, we should care. So it's like the nerd is meeting the woo-woo hippie in the same place.
And making a love child.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of us, right?
Pretty much.
Totally. Yeah.
Pretty much.
We're not. I mean, look, we're not. It doesn't reek of patchouli in this room, right? we all
yeah, we haven't had lunch.
Yeah, it's
true. But I also want to get super practical because I think you just dropped a truth bomb about GMOs and glyphosate and how it's linked to leaky gut syndrome and punching holes in your gut, and then you can't absorb the nutrients that you need to connect with the plant spirit, and it harms your liver and it reduces fertility. So can we get super practical and like give some takeaways? So one is, don't eat GMOs. It's not good for you. You can just eat organic food as a way of avoiding it, or make sure that it's labeled properly as non-GMO. You got to especially look out for the corn and the soy, because those tend to be 90-94%
Canola
GMO.
oil.
Canola oil
is a big one.
That's a big one.
With the stuff, it's in everything.
It's horrendous.
GMO.
Horrendous. It's like a drive-by shooting for your gut.
Yeah.
Another practical tip.
If you do move, which you should, if you have a relationship with your body, I don't want to say exercise or training because it's such a different connotation, but if you do exercise, try to resist the urge to try. Try to like intentionally put yourself there and let it happen. And it sounds like it would be difficult to do, but in fact, once you get there, you pretty much do it for the rest of your life. It's a new practice for yourself. So work on that. It takes a little while for you to get there, but next time you're cursing your injury or cursing the fact that you're shackling yourself to a treadmill for 2 hours, try to figure out a way to engage with something deeper that you really want to do, because everyone wants to do something outside or move their body. Swimming, is some person's cup of tea, whereas running is great for someone else. And we all like different things. So find that thing that you really enjoy and let it happen. Let yourself enjoy it.
Love it. I think this is your super masculine way into the divine feminine. Like the allowing rather than the pushing. Like that's one thing I hear. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you may be the most masculine guy I know, outside of my husband, of course. Just saying, I'm feeling the testosterone over here.
Well, thanks. That's really interesting, because I don't think I would have known that without you saying something like that, right? It kind of takes
That's
like an outside.
That's why you're my brother.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I love it.
What's your tip?
My tip?
Yeah.
Well, I felt like I wanted to go to Nick next.
Okay, so you're
Should I rock a tip?
Well, it doesn't make a difference. Who's going? Go.
You got one?
Yeah, I just like the idea of it's intimidating when you have people who are saying that they run 13 miles, like you said before, and we all fancy ourselves, experts in sort of our own niche of alternative medicine. But the biggest thing is trying. Just start trying with trying something. Start moving in some way. Like, don't let the fact that you're not an expert or you're not in the peak shape of your life stop you from just beginning to move, because this doesn't come from the 13th mile. This isn't something you can only experience on the 13th or 14th mile. It's something that you can experience, in your daily life, even if you're not running, period. Even if you're somebody who's, got limited access to that kind of a thing, or you live in the city. I think that just starting to get out there and give yourself the opportunity to experience like the subtleties that kind of are going on behind the scenes in your brain and your psyche that are contributing to maybe the blocks that you have. I think there's ways to just experience this without having to go all out. You can go on a long walk with your dog and experience the same thing. I also think that core exercises are really, really good. I know that that's kind of intense.
It's good.
But I mean, I've become addicted, I don't know why, over the last few months to sit-ups. I used to hate them, but they release something.
Yes.
Yeah. They release something, I guess now I didn't know that was where all the serotonin was being created. But I mean, core exercises are so beneficial. Even if you just do a small dose. You don't need to push yourself like crazy, just enough to kind of get things flowing. And I guess now I understand why. I just learned a lot sitting here. Because I am now like a sit-up addict. I used to think they were the worst thing in the world, but now I love them. And it makes me feel so good when I sit up. My brain feels right, and I'm ready to take on the world. So core exercises, even if they're small and non-stressful, just get your core going.
That's so cool. I have a quick note on that. I had a massage not too long ago, and I think this is kind of the same thing that you're talking about. That was for the first time in I don't know how long. They were really working on my stomach, all around my midsection, and these, like, for the entire hour that she was working on me here, these memories and these pains that I hadn't experienced literally since childhood, like these memories that I had no access to, were coming back. and I was like working through them as she was pointing to particular areas, and it was so powerful. And I think if you, I mean, you can do that through massage, or you can do it by engaging yourself, but it's really the same thing. One of the reasons you feel so good is because you're engaging with that piece of your body. You're letting it flow instead of having that stored, sequestered thing like we were talking about.
Can we talk about something kind of graphic and gross real quick?
Please.
Who in the room has had a colonic before?
I was hoping we were going to talk about poop.
I guess I need to sign myself.
Yeah, exactly.
We've arranged one for you later.
I'm skipping lunch.
I'm just going to say that I've had a few, and they are by far one of the most emotional experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, aside from the graphic, whatever, you know, might happen during the colonic, there's something that's very vulnerable on an emotional level about that region of your body when you're working with it, you're filling it with water, and you're trying to, like, you're loving it from, like, within. Emotions that just have no business, you know, in our, you know, in our logical brain to come up. They come up, and you have to deal with things while you're there. You're crying while you're on the table, and they know, they understand what you're going through. A good colon hydrotherapist knows that this is
they totally know.
And I prefer to be a woman just for some reason, just a maternal energy, you know, just kind of like letting you go through your thing, you know. But
beautiful.
So colonics are interesting.
There we go. We've got so many good practical tips. I have like a 3-way tie here at the end. But you brought up poop, and I feel like I can't let that go, because your poop has so much information. I'm a gynecologist, so I talk about this every day. And I think the thing about poop that is so cool is that every day you have this opportunity to collect information about yourself. It's the attunement that you were talking about. And a lot of people are just like, you know, they go to the toilet, they get their business done, on with life.
Or guys brag about it.
Okay.
Take pictures.
Women don't do that so
Instagram.
much. Women don't do that so much. But there's so much information that you can get from your poop. And if you just think about it as this sacred duty that you have at least once a day, ideally in the morning, like here's what I love to do on my online detox, that you get up in the morning, you have hot water with lemon, filtered water, maybe a little cayenne, and it stimulates the gastrocolic reflex, and it gets you to poop. You don't need to have coffee. If coffee's the thing driving your poop, we got a problem in your adrenal glands. So if you look at that sacred ritual every day and you collect information, are you processing the healthy fats? You know, Abel and I had some coconut oil that we used to make eggs this morning with some arugula. It's delicious, but you got to process that coconut oil. If you're pooping it all out and you're not getting all that delicious information for your DNA, there's a problem. If you've got, you know, too many of the not so good bacteria versus the happy bacteria that keep you thin and vital and lean and like Captain America here, Abel James, you know, we've got to be aspirational about our poop. So I'm just going to stop there. I could keep going, but be aspirational about your poop.
I think there needs to be a book written. I think there needs to be something, a resource for people to go through, because people.
You don't want to film on this one. Because you suggested a film earlier, and so now you're thinking a book.
You know what's weird is that two films have come up that in this conversation that just naturally from talking to you guys that we've already been thinking about making.
Interesting.
Poop would be more of an animated one, but we've talked about it before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally.
But it's one of those skeletons in the closet. It's one of those things that for some reason we all just we don't talk about, and when you try to get down to the next level and you dig down deeper into what we could be doing better and where we're not really focusing our attention right now, there's definitely a lot to be learned from that.
And it has some viral qualities to it, right?
Well, in terms of it's yes. Which way? We're talking about internet
That's a conversation for later.
Could fill a room. You guys, I want to just put this out there, and for you guys out there who are watching this, wherever you're watching this, on one of our channels, on the magazine or one of our personal channels, I have so thoroughly enjoyed this that I'm just going to throw a gauntlet and say, let's look at doing a sofa series.
Yay!
I love it. All right, cool.
The sofa series.
This has been really fun. I think these authentic conversations need to happen, And it's that long form that kind of gets people into the dialogue. I'm personally so sick and tired of like, lose 5 pounds in 3 days and get into that bikini, and just this whole hypey thing about healthcare.
Yeah.
And so let's just keep it real, and let's bring our friends and sit in our living rooms. I'm happy to host the next one at my house, and let's make a thing of this and see if we can help inspire a conversation that is meaningful, and deep and integrated about health and who we are, and do that in a way where we can enjoy not having to get into this hypey thing.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
None of us are hypey people. We're just here to help. We're here to serve. And so this is who we are. I mean, this is the camera's on or off. You're getting who we are, right? And so I really enjoyed this, and I want to thank you guys for all being here.
Thank
you for hosting.
Totally. Anytime. So glad you like it. Can I throw a challenge out here to our fabulous listeners? Because I felt like part of what you were saying is that it's not about us, it's actually about serving you guys. And so we want your feedback. We want to get your comments. We want to hear from you. You know, is there one thing that just really landed with you today? Could you mention it? Could you tell 3 friends about it? Like, I really want to engage you and not have this be a one-way information flow. We want to hear from you. We want to know what topics you're interested in, and we will get to them.
We're going to hang out and do this amongst ourselves anyways. If this is something you guys are interested in, we need to know, right?
Yeah.
Because if not, we won't pay for all the lights and the cameras and stuff to show up at the party. Like, we're doing this to say, look, this might be relevant and help people in their lives. So let us know. Your feedback is what drives us to know that we're striking those chords and able to be of service in a way that's meaningful for all of us and all of you. All right, I think that's it. We're signing off. Thank you, and get out there and do your best to wake up and play, eat right, and live right.
May the force be with you all.
And may the force be with you.
No, try, do. What was it again?
Do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try.
Can you do the voice? Can you do the voice?
Do it in the voice. Sit up. Yeah.
Do or do not. There is no try. I have no idea if that's good.
I know Yoda was Russian.
Persian Russian. Yoda with chest hair. All right, we're out. Cut.